It's not even stopping for a Friday or pausing for a Friday going into a long weekend. This thing, it's so it should. I think we will make the judgment call at or around the 113.68, and at this point, uh, we just keep in mind that that is, if it goes and 20 handles on the S&P is not a big deal. So whether it's on big volume mat or not, it is actually moving 1 or 2% a day, and well, whether we believe it or not, we might as well be on board so that we can okay. uh, Jesus, the sound crackling again. Okay, I'll be farther away from the mic. Is this better? Is this okay? Okay, I'll keep on going because I mean there is nothing I can do about. I mean that's about it. So, okay, guys, let's. I mean, I will try to. I don't know what's wrong. Anyway, so okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to set up the. We want to be. Basically, the dollar is the weakest, and once we have something as obvious as that, then we need to be careful of a pending trend reversal. So, but the dollar is the weakest. The strongest pair that we have so far is the, you can see that the euro is the one that has given us a break above the 136.75. It has been moving up the last 4 days or the last 3 days with momentum, doing big ranges every day, closing the week at 136.91, about 20 pips above the structure point. So we can say that the euro is one of the strongest. We can also look at the Swiss franc, and you can see that the Swiss now, the euro had 3 days up, the Swiss had 5 days to the upside. The key is the 105.86 has always been, or it has been tough for the Swiss from the beginning of 2011. So we want to make sure it goes above it. Otherwise, that would be an indication that, or that could be the reversal that we're looking into the dollar. The pound is also quite strong. And as you see, it came back up to the other structure. So a break here above that structure point of the 162.71, that would indicate again a major break to the upside in the pound and a major break to the downside in the dollar. So the common denominator that we have so far, and this is just as a caution, that the dollar is so weak, yet the euro is strong, the Swiss is strong, the British pound is strong, and all of those are sitting at structural points. So that will be the move. We need them to break above these moves, so that would indicate the continuation of these currencies to the upside and the continuation of the dollar to the downside. If they fail to break above these structure points, or they break above it and turn it back around, then we need to be reversing our positions in the dollar. If we look at the yen, it is not as strong as the euro or the Swiss, or so the euro or the British pound. If you look at the Aussie, that is quite interesting. The Australian is yes, we are going to take it. We're going to be looking at being short the list of the dollar, but we are going to be very cognizant of any of the turning points. So we're going to identify the turning point in the Aussie, in the Swiss, in the pound, in the euro, and in the dollar, and we're going to be careful, because the moment it turns, these are going to be scrambling to get out of their position, either long or short, and we don't want to be caught, and we want to be able to join in and capture some of the money from that move. Okay, so the Aussie is quite strong, and as you can see, it has not yet broken above this high, so we need it to break above the 115, so it's kind of 3 pips away, and the all-time high is the 101.68. This is the second high, the 101.56, and now, so we are about 40 pips away from the high. So the Aussie, let me wrap it up. So the strongest one is the euro, and we can say also the Swiss franc, the Aussie, and the British pound are pretty much close to each other. And this is what kind of, I mean, when things are so obvious like this, it begins to concern me, because it's too easy. And when it's too easy, this means something is going to be turning around. And keep in mind, again, as I said, that we're getting Monday is a holiday in the state. And of course, the only weak currency across the board this week is the US dollar. Okay, so we want to be looking also, I forgot, the Canadian. The Canadian is in an uptrend. It is going higher. The structure point is the 10032. It is closed the week at 101.40, but Friday was quite a big selling day. The selling point was, that was one selling point, which is the 101.16. The second selling point was the 101.15. The 101.63, that's the big selling point. The second selling point, which is a major sell signal, is the 101.54. And we sold off and we closed the week at 101.40. So the Canadian is also as weak as the US dollar. So having said that, we want to be sellers of the dollar and the Canadian. We want to be buyers of the euro. We want to be buyers of the Swiss franc. We want to be buyers of the British pound, and we want to be buyers of the Australian. These all are supposedly very strong currencies, and we need to be buyers of all of those. So we'll be looking at buying the pound, selling the dollar, buying the Australian, selling the dollar, buying the going short the dollar Swiss, buying the euro dollar. We will also be looking at the other weak currency is the Canadian. It says it's not as weak as the dollar, but it is weak because we had two major sell signals. So we will be looking at buying the pound CAD, we'll be looking at buying the euro CAD, we will be looking at buying the Swiss CAD. And for the Japanese yen, Alexander, it is strong, but it is not as strong, so it would be the weakest of the strong pairs. So I would give it probably maybe 1 plus, because as you see it's at the bottom of the range. Let me put it and I'll show you back when I get back to the chart. If you look at the Australian dollar, like here, it's at the top of the range. If you look at the British pound, it is right at the structural point, it is pushing higher. If you look at the euro, it's already above the structural point, so it's already broken to the upside, so the strongest is the euro. If you see the Swiss, it's trying to get through the structure point, we want it to go through it. If you go to the yen, it is at the bottom of the range. So with that, I will be taking it as a weak positive number or a weak positive currency. So if I wanted, I can take the pound yen, or probably in this case I will be buying the euro yen, and I probably will be taking the Aussie yen. So our selection would be this. I'll write them down, and then we'll be looking to buy the pound CAD, pound USD, euro USD, euro CAD, euro yen. Then because the euro is stronger than then I'll be looking at the Aussie USD, Aussie JPY. Might look at the pound yen, and we can be looking at the dollar Swiss and the euro CAD in this case. Okay, so we lost some time in the